Aloha and welcome to today's show of Maunalua Past, Present, and Future. I am your host, Tommy Johnson, Volunteer Coordinator for Livable Hawaii Kai Hui's Cultural and Natural Resource Committee. And today our discussion will be stewarding Keawāwa Wetland and the Hinano complex. Joining me today is our lovely Lisa Hinano Ray. Lisa, tell us and the viewers a little bit about yourself and your connection with Keawāwa Wetland and the Hinano complex.
Well, I very much enjoy, as a community member of Hawaii Kai, I very much enjoy going down and participating in the restoration efforts at the Keawāwa Wetland and at the Hinano. It's very fun. It's very rewarding experience, and I'm a big fan of the endangered ʻleloNet that lives there at the wetland.
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan as well. Thank you. So, to begin, let's take a few moments to familiarize our viewers with our wetland project. So let's start up. We have a couple of photos queued up for us. So we have our first one, which is a view of the Keawāwa Wetland complex from the side that Livable Hawaii Kai Hui owns. And you can see that's our sign. If you're driving along Hawaii Kai Drive and you're about to hit Keawāwa, if you look to your left, you'll see this exact sign, and it gives you some information about the place. But if you come, if you're also coming from that direction, on the other side is the Oahu Club, and on their side, theirs looks a little more kept up on our side, but it's a lot more green. Ours, you can see a lot of mulch over there. You can see a big pile on the side. But sadly, that's we're in that big phase of mulching, preparing for planting, removing weeds, just setting down a lot of the groundwork, so to say, for great future things that we have stored for the wetland. And so our next picture here is the Oahu Club itself. Well, not the Oahu Club, this is the wetland from the viewing of the Oahu Club. So Lisa, you're a member of the Oahu Club, right?
I am.
You're probably very familiar with this view over on that side.
Yeah, and I love being a member of the Oahu Club. It's probably one of the only clubs, workout clubs, tennis clubs that you can become a member of and go and actually they are involved as well in a partnership with the Livable Hawaii Kai Hui and allow Livable Hawaii Kai Hui to manage their portion of the wetland that they own on their property for the benefit of the ʻleloNet endangered waterbirds. And I like to go and sit down by the pond frequently, or the water area frequently, and observe the ʻleloNet there. And one of the really interesting things about this particular population of ʻleloNet is that they are very open. They come up onto the embankment, and they're not as secretive as most other ʻleloNet populations in other parts of Hawaii.
And here we have a picture of the birds. You can see on the right side, that's one of the adult birds. Taking care of the two juvenile birds on the left. You can see that they don't have all of their feathers yet. They're a little fuzzy, but they're still just as cute. They have giant feet, but you can't see in here, but they use that to forage around. On top of the water, there's a plant called the ʻai, and that is what they mainly get most of their food from, is with their huge, giant feet. In our next picture we have, or not in our next picture, in a few pictures up we can see them, but just take my word for it, they have huge feet.
Yeah, they do, and they have bright yellow legs that are so, they're really colorful and wonderful, and that's how you can tell the fully grown adult birds, actually, because then the legs are very yellow, very bright yellow. When they're newborns, they're not yellow yet, so that's part of their development process. But the Oahu Club side of the wetland has had the success of approximately 4 seasons of successful hatches, and on average there's 2 to 3 little waterbirds that come out of the hatchlings, and it's a great success story what's going on there, because they're thriving in that habitat.
That's awesome. A lot of community members are involved with this. We have a lot of work days, and in one of our past work days, we actually tried to help the ʻleloNet a bit. We tried to help them out by transplanting some of that plant, the ʻai, into places where they previously hadn't been, where they had been there was occupied by another plant. A longtime favorite of people is the Wedelia plant, and you can tell what it is just by it has the little yellow flowers and it's very viney. And so we got rid of pretty much most of that over on the Oahu Club side. In our picture in the next one, we can see our volunteers here working very hard and removing it, as well as other shrubs that were there. Any predators might be able to get on. So we do a lot of things just to take care of the birds on the Oahu Club side, because that's their main residence right now, is on the Oahu Club side, has their fair share of water, as well as most of the plants that they forage from. Could you explain to us some more about the Alaiula and what they do on the Ai?
The Alaiula, you'll see like in the last picture, you'll see the adult birds swimming along with the newly hatched birds, and they bring them over to the far end of the water, and they go and they forage over there. So it's really great that the volunteers cleared more of the embankment and transplanted the Ai over into different areas so that the birds wouldn't have to swim quite as far to do more foraging. And that's going to be an ongoing process, continuing to expand the foraging area for the birds, as well as bringing in some additional native plants that will be to their liking and nutritious for them so that they can have a more varied diet. And that's part of our conservation practice. And we've worked with both the NRCS and U.S. Wildlife Federation in order to get advice on how to best improve the habitat for the Alaiula.
That sounds great. In our next photo, I believe, or actually we didn't have a time to talk about the last photo that came up. It was actually the transplanted Ai on the exact same spot that the volunteers were on in the previous picture. And so right here, you can see them in the fresh new Ai. It's not quite taken on the water yet, but you can see it's thriving on the
embankment. Yeah, it's growing, and you can see that those are juvenile birds because their legs aren't quite bright yellow, and they're going to grow big and strong because they're eating all that Ai.
I guess you'll still have to take my word for it because you can't see their feet in here, but but oh well, just, believe me.
Yeah, and this was before the gentleman, the PhD candidate from Tufts University, Charles Van Rees. This picture was taken before he came out. He's doing a project all across Oahu, and he's banded all the populations of Alaiula that he could. And if you come to look at the birds today, you'll see that they have bands which identify each bird individually, as well as the distinct hot pink bands, which are specific to the population that he found at Keawāwa Wetland. And it's interesting because his project, of course, part of it is to observe the migrations of the birds, because there have been stories about birds moving from very long distances across islands, and maybe even sometimes from island to island. And even just a couple months ago, one of Oahu Club's birds with the hot pink band was found in Kailua. So it's in fact true. It's not just a story.
It's not just hearsay.
Yes, it's not hearsay.
Thing.
It's real.
So I believe in our next picture we have queued up, there is a photo of some of our Livable Hawaii Kai Hui members looking around on a rock that's in our upland area for the Keawāwa Wetland, because they want to look around to make sure that we're not disturbing any kind of untouched petroglyphs, or maybe we might find another spring, because there is an actual spring up there. It's just not functioning anymore, but it's still there. You can see it. It's a bit hard to if you're just on the road, but if you came and visited us, you could see it up close and actually see a little bit of resting water at the bottom of the well.
Yeah, and the whole Keawāwa Wetland is actually a natural spring-fed body of water, so it's really amazing.
Make a great fish pond.
Yeah.
In fact, it probably was part of the very large fish pond that used to be in the Hawaii Kai area. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's what I understand as well, is that it was one of the upper reaches of the pond. I think there's some speculation that it might have been a nursery area for some of the youngest juvenile fishes, and then from there they would be released out into the larger ponds for grow-out stage. Interesting.
As well as the spring, they have many petroglyphs and ancient rock formations that we think might be housing structures from whoever occupied it before, you know, we came. There's a heiau there, a Tahitian-style heiau, agricultural terraces, plenty of burial sites, and we have a very large coconut grove, actually. Our late coconut tree, Coco, that made the national 2013 grand champion of its species of palm trees or coconut trees, but it was also the winner of a national 2014 March Madness Big Tree competition, and that it's sad to see it go, but it was a very special tree to us. And to my understanding, the plan is to make it now a set of drums for people so that it can live on creatively through music and, you know, help keep the tempo of, you know, drums and things.
Yeah, that's so great, because so many people across Hawaii, they all got involved, and where everybody was behind Coco making it in this competition, and it was a great success story. And then it was kind of sad when when her top fell off, but in that big storm we had. But it is a great use of her legacies to make drums out of her, new pahu. So I'm really excited about that. Really interesting and exciting plan, yeah.
Coco will live on. So in our next, I think let's take a look at our next photo here. I believe it is the Keawāwa Wetland. I think it's a special view. Yes, it's the view from the inside looking out towards the street. It's just another reminder that this is a very urban, you know, conserved land. It's not too often that you see, you know, this very special place tucked away, you know, so deeply in a neighborhood, let alone right next to a big condo or a shopping complex.
Yeah, Costco is just around the corner, and there's the homes on the waterfront to the bay's inlet. And previously, before development, all of this area was, of course, the fish pond as well as taro cultivation in the marshy areas. Yeah, and so you can see that. Yeah, that's a good view. You can see the houses, and then you can see the Nilo and the Ko, which were volunteers. They just sprang up out of our mulching processes, and all along there, and then down along the side, we removed hundreds of invasive plants and shrubs.
Hundreds.
Yes, with the help of volunteers and yourself coordinating. Yeah, hundreds of invasives were removed, and then we put mulch down in order to protect the soil and retain the soil moisture. And we're moving into the stage of the conservation plan where we can begin planting, which is really exciting.
Make it look a little less barren with some more plants that are actually meant to be there.
Yeah.
Like some of the eye, but you cannot see that in these pictures, but they're near the reeds. There's not much water down there right now, because I think when I took this picture it was very dry.
Yeah.
But usually around the winter time, it's we have some water on our side, on this side, not the Oahu Club side, because theirs is always filled up with water no matter what. I don't know how they manage it. But so yeah, we're very early on in our conservation plan, and in our next photo, there is the front area that we can. Oh no, that's not the front area. That is actually another view of our volunteer trees. And in our next photo, that's the one. That's actually the front area of this. You can see the road on the left, and right there is where we're planning on having it's where we're planning on starting our walkway.
Yeah, the path that'll go around. And you can see the bus stop right there, so that's, you know, proof to the fact that it's in the center of a very urban area right off of Hawaii Kai Drive. And we have this beautiful wetland. You can see the reeds there, all that bulrush, which is invasive and eventually will be thinned back in order that the water can fill up more, and that hopefully eventually the water birds can extend down to this side, and planting of the aisle along the banks. So there's lots of work to be done. And the meandering path will one day circle the entire body of water, the entire wetland, and that's for the benefit of the community members who can come out and they can enjoy the path and this beautiful historic heiau and the wetland.
That's great. That must be a welcoming view for all the people getting off the bus.
Yeah.
To see a very, very barren but a very nice cultural, land resource. It's not something you see every day when you're getting off the bus, I'm sure.
Right, and before it just used to be completely choked with just Keawe and Halikoa, and you couldn't even tell there was a wetland there.
Nope.
So it's transformed gradually in stages over these years.
And I think among our plan with the walkway is also to build a predator fence around most of the property so that we can further protect the birds from whatever may come to harm the birds. We just want to make sure that these very endangered birds have a safe haven from mongoose, night herons, or other birds that might want to harm our lovable ōlelo. We just want to. That's our main goal in mind, is just to take care of the birds.
Yeah, and weren't there red snapping turtles as well that were?
There were.
They were eating the baby ōlelo.
They tried to eat them. I don't think they got one, but they used to annoy them just by snapping at their feet from underwater. And we had many people from the Oahu Club reporting sightings of those snapping turtles, and it was about a few month process to get rid of them. But it was, we don't have any of them now. We're still getting some sightings of them, but our people that we had to remove the turtles say that through testing, they had the traps set in there for about a month, and they didn't get anything after a while, and so they decided, there aren't any more turtles in there. So we got rid of one predator, at least. Now we just have to deal with the rest of them with our brand spanking new fence.
Yeah, and we have to make sure that people don't decide that they don't want their pet turtle anymore and dispose of it in a in a natural body of water in nature. It's people.
Just sell it on Craigslist. There's a market for that. Yeah, you don't need to set it free. I'm sure there's somebody else who wants a nice turtle.
Yeah.
So what do we have in our next photo? Let's see. Yes. So this is a view of our the very upland part of it. This is actually on top of the rocks near some of the petroglyphs. In the middle of the photo, who you can see giving a little speech is our Kaleo Pike. Tell us about her.
Kaleo Pike, she is our cultural coordinator. And so often when there are special ceremonies or events at the heiau, or even on the second Saturdays, which you run, when the volunteers come out and they toil away at the removal of invasives and stuff, afterwards she gives a cultural tour, so people get to go up on the heiau and observe some of the petroglyphs, and she guides them up there safely, very sensitive to the culture and of the historic preservation of the site. So it's a unique opportunity for people to possibly visit an archaeological site. Some people maybe have never seen one, and she's just great. Kaleo is really a terrific asset to the Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, and it's really always a great pleasure to come out and do those community work days in order to spend time there.
Yeah, it's always great to have somebody with that sort of cultural and spiritual and historical insight, that normal people like me or you might not have. So it's a very useful person to have around on the team.
Yeah.
I believe we've run through most of our pictures, and we still have some time left. We should talk a little bit more about the birds, the wetlands. Do you have any, major thoughts that you want to say about the wetlands?
The Keawāwa Wetland, like I was saying before, it's a really unique area because it's in such an urban setting. It's really quite small in relation to other wetlands where you'll find ʻAlaiʻula, and I wonder if that's one of the reasons why that population is kind of unique, and that they're not as secretive. They actually come out of the bulrush, and you find them roaming around. And a couple of our volunteers reported that that the ʻAlaiʻula would actually follow them around. Yeah, and Kaleo one time told a story about the ʻAlaiʻula when we had some children come out for to the wetland for a field trip, a school field trip, and she told the story about Maui and how the ʻAlaiʻula had was given fire for the people by the ʻAlaiʻula, and that's why it has the bright
red beak.
Yeah, the red beak. Yeah, so we know that that the bird was very important historically, culturally to the Hawaiian people, and it's wonderful to be able to observe them in the habitat there. And I'm really looking forward to the time as well when the water is extended all the way down towards the Havea Heiau.
As am I.
Yeah.
That'd be the day.
It'll be so exciting and to have the birds come down there. Aren't there a couple, there's the population of the water birds, and there's a couple birds that like to go off on their own down a little bit further from the others. So maybe eventually they'll kind of create 2 new populations, or we'll have a...
Yeah, we'll have 2 families instead of just one big one.
Yeah.
That'd be nice. We'd have more babies per season instead of the normal 2 to 3. You know, just to help out and bring them out of the endangered species list one day.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. And then maybe eventually we'll, you know, as the population grows, and then they can help to assist the growth of other populations, like the one that went to Kailua.
Oh yes, yeah. Or even the one that went to Enchanted Lake. Maybe he could bring a family over there from you never know.
Yeah. But yeah, we have a lot of planting to do. You know, we need to work on getting a variety of plants over there.
What kind of plants?
The plants that are on the native species list include some ground covers that would be good for them to eat. I think the nanea and there might be another one called I can't remember the name of the plants that are beneficial for them to eat. But
sure
we have a grand list of plants, that is available to us for planting both on the wetland side, but also up higher into the cultural area. We'll be able to plant up there kukui and the pa'aohiaka, which is a ground cover, and yeah, there's a whole list that's not coming to mind right now, but it's really exciting because this year is the year that we'll be beginning to do that, and that's when you really see the place coming to life, so to speak.
So leading up to this year, we've been doing a lot of the groundwork.
Yeah.
You know, spreading tons and tons of mulch. You know, I'm sure our volunteers were getting sick of spreading mulch, but finally now they can have the opportunity to actually plant some nice plants, natural one, or Hawaiian plants, indigenous or otherwise. You know.
And then aren't we gonna we're gonna plant some hale trees, and we're gonna build a traditional hale similar to the one that they have at the Lion Arboretum with the peely grass thatched hut. That's on the plan as well.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah.
Looking forward to a lot of things on our list. We could talk about it all day, but you know, we're focusing on the birds and the core of the thing, which is the birds in the wetland, of course. So we still have some time left. We're too overzealous here, so we're running out of topics.
In the subject of the banding of the ʻAlaiʻula, apparently isn't there a website that people will be able to go to in case they see an ʻAlaiʻula with a hot pink bracelet, then they'll know that it had moved.
I believe that website is in the works now, or it's been done, but we just don't have a link right now. So I'd love to mention it if that's the case, but if you follow us on Facebook, though, I'm sure that link would be made available for anybody who would find one of the birds. Our group on Facebook is Livable Hawaii Kai Hui. So yeah, if you happen to see any birds, just wait to see that website pop up so you could report to us where our birds have gone, where they might be exploring, because that's one thing we also want to keep track of is some, as well as taking care of the birds, we want to look after them and see what their habits are, what they like to do. So if they're flying into a different lake or another wetland somewhere, we'd like to know, because they're part of our extended family. You know, at this point, it feels like they're, you know, like they know us and we know them. You know, there's like a mutual thing going on.
Yeah.
Between us.
It's really easy to become fond of those birds.
Yeah, it really is. They're very, very cute looking birds. If we look back on one of our old photos, one of them swimming, they don't usually. It's not usually just one adult bird taking care of those two little birds. It's usually the birds are taken care of among, you know, most of the other birds as well. Like they split up the parenting duty, so to speak. So
yeah.
like we'll see them, like I guess like with divorced parents or other things. You know, you might have them on the weekends. You know.
Or the juvenile birds whose legs aren't quite bright yellow. They look mature, but their legs aren't as yellow. So those are like the teenager birds, and those birds, I've observed them like plucking at the eye and giving it to the younger birds. They really watch over them. And then the adult birds, perhaps the parent, I'm not quite sure, will be a little bit off in the distance, and then if something threatening comes nearby, it just suddenly comes from far away.
Yes, because they are actually very territorial birds too.
Yeah.
I believe this is actually my cue to end our show. So as we come to the close of today's show, do you have any closing comments you would like to, or something more you would like our viewers to know about Livable Hawaii Kai Hui, the wetland?
Well, like you said, it would be great for people in the community who live in Hawaii Kai, or anyone who's available and interested, to check us out on Facebook and look at our schedule and come out to one of your Saturdays, the second Saturday, right?
Second Saturday. Second Saturday. I believe April 11th is this month, or next month's, I'm sorry, next month's work day, April.
Yeah, so come on out to our wetland, and thank you for viewing our show. And on behalf of Thomas and myself, thank you very much, and come see us.
Yes, I'd love to see you guys out there. You know, crack my whip at you so you can spread some more mulch while we.
He's nice. He's not like that.
Oh, shut. Oh well. But yes, that's about all right now. Thank you for watching today's Maunalua Past, Present, and Future. I'm Tommy, and this is Lisa, and that's us.